Good evening. Here it is about 10 o'clock my time. I thought I'd come on and talk about one of the symptoms I've been having that's been more intense lately. So I'm going to wait a moment before, have a few people on. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, and we'll get talking. I've been coming on a lot more lately because I've been in a wave that is very reminiscent to when I used to come on more. So, since it's more prominent in my life right now than normal, it's bringing me back to those times. And that's like I'm starting to like get used to it again. And that's not what I want to get used to. My anxiety's been very high. It's been high for weeks now. It's very chemical feeling and just feels slightly out of control. And I know it's something that'll eventually pass because it always does, but it's really strong. It's just this sick feeling of anxiety that shoots through my body. If I let it get out of control, it'll get out of control. So distraction is really key in this kind of situation, which is cool. So I try to keep distracted, but it's still always there. Everybody kind of has anxiety in a different way, and my anxiety stems from my gut, and it's just this overall anxiety ridden feeling that goes from my gut and shoots out energy throughout my body. Um, so I try to come up with different ways to maybe help it. I've tried using a TENS machine, uh, those little electro pad things. Tried using a TENS machine on my stomach, and that kind of fools your brain to making it feel better in the moment, but it doesn't take it away. I thought trying to work with that for a while might help, but it doesn't. Once in a while, maybe it feels like it does, but it doesn't. I find that, well, not yet because I haven't done a lot of it yet, but the last time I had a lot of anxiety, which wasn't even this bad, once I started getting out and walking more, it started getting better. So I took a, this sounds sad, but a 4 minute walk today. Not much of one, but it's cold here and I got to start somewhere because, like, physically, my symptoms are so bad lately. I know I'm going to make those worse. So, not really sure where to go. Tomorrow, I will probably do a 5 or 6 minute walk. And I'll kind of do that for the next week and see if it helps at all. And I think it might help a little bit. We'll see. Um, but I always feel nauseous and feel like I'm going to throw up because of anxiety. And that just sucks. And that ramps up all my other symptoms. My symptoms of the akathisia, the crawling in my body, and pain, and overall discomfort, and heart racing, heart beating hard, at least what it feels like anyway. And I get this morphing in my, it feels like morphing in my skin and body. I would almost think this is what I would deal with if I tapered, and then I would understand where it's coming from, and I know it would pass once the, you know, nervous system calms down and after withdrawal and all that, which I get. But I think this was really delayed after I got sick, so I don't know. I know it's because my nervous system was so shot. Just kind of is what it is. But the symptoms are pretty extreme. The calmer I am, the less I let the anxiety take control, is kind of the better I feel, with it. So I have to do my best to not let things get taken over, take over. I always think it's going to be this endless loop, but eventually I know it'll just get so fucking frustrating, it'll just it'll start fading out. It's done it before. Just it's never been this extreme. But I also never had COVID and the flu back to back. And it's like I don't know. It's just not easy to be like that. And then, I didn't have this kind of anxiety when I was sick. It was like after the fact. It was like once once the nervous system said, okay, that's enough. So it's really weird. But it definitely affects everything else. If it didn't affect everything else, I wouldn't be so weirded out about it. But it affects all my other anxiety fuels so much. I'm getting back a lot of symptoms I had from many years ago, and I can only say a lot of them are just anxiety that pushes your nervous system, and that's scary, because it's like if you let yourself get too out of control, it's like you can always get so set back. And it's like, how do you get out of that loop? So job is to continually distract, breathe, and meditate. Even if it doesn't feel like it's working, do it anyway. Muscle relaxations, that's what I'm doing now. Not at this moment, but like with me, I'm taking it day by day here. What else are you gonna do? Can't do too much more. Just take it day by day. It's hard to breathe though. It's breathing is rough with this because when your anxiety is really high, it's like hard to breathe, kind of thing. I'm still trying to do my everyday stuff that I have to do while we're trying to rest as much as I can. But it doesn't. This is like the first time in a long time where rest doesn't seem to be helping me any. And that's really unnerving because it makes me feel like, okay, if I'm this set back, like, am I going to stay like this? It just freaks me out. I know a lot of people can look from the outside and be like, oh, it'll pass, but it hasn't passed in a while. It's just kind of staying this way. I know I went through a lot recently, and I kind of had some pretty major trauma responses lately, so that ain't helping. But it's still getting to me big time. It's water. And sometimes I think maybe I missed a dose on my meds or something, or maybe I fucked up and had something with alcohol in it or something, because I know any of that stuff can make you pretty much get in a pretty rough spot. So I try not to overanalyze it. When I start to worry, I try to change the way of thinking. Like, I'll try to just distract and do something really quick or something. But it's exhausting because I remember the days where I had to distract 24 hours a day. Unless I was sleeping, it was just distraction. It was so exhausting. I worked all the time. And people think, well, how could you work if you're that sick? It's like, oh, just trust me. I didn't have a choice, and it was hell. But I would rather have done that than just sit around and do nothing. I don't know. Anyway, I just think it sucks that anxiety makes all your other symptoms worse. I'm usually at a pretty good baseline, but for some reason my anxiety, when it comes, it's harsh. And sometimes it could take months for it to kind of calm down. But hopefully maybe you guys can give me some, guys and girls can give me some tips on ways, I've got meditation and stuff like that, or maybe if something worked really well for you to help calm down anxiety. At least because the more I calm it down is the more my nervous system will calm down and the more everything will calm sooner. So if you have any tips, anybody, leave them. If they don't work for me, they don't work for me. If they don't make sense for me, they don't make sense. But if I find one thing worth it, then yeah, it's totally worth it. Anyway, take care. I'm out.